Hey guys, Shawn Ziem, the connection machine, aka the insurance doctor. We have a special guest today on Webtalk Legends Podcast. We're going to provide some massive value. You're going to learn some things, you're going to use some things, and it's going to change your life. It could be for your business and also for overall success. We're looking to help you grow, take you to the next level. Let me bring on an awesome friend of mine, Tracie Randolph. How are you today,
Hey,
Tracie?
I am great, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, a little crazy today, but we're able to make this happen. And I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to, provide that value, which we like to continue to do, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So when we get into this, I want to have you introduce yourself as far as who you are, what you do, and then we'll get after it.
Okay, sounds good. Want me to go? Want me to
Yes,
rock and roll now?
please.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Tracie Randolph, also known as the Reset Coach. I am a health coach, life coach, and personal trainer. I am super passionate about health and wellness and just being proactive and taking care of yourself. I am also a TV host of two shows, one called Fem Talk and the other one called The Whole Living Show. And we air on E360 TV. It's a lot of fun. I just enjoy it. And it's just another way to bring health and wellness and just, kind of like love and support and encouragement to people's lives.
People need that, And what made you get involved with this health kick? The fitness, the having the podcast, etc.
Yeah, so I had my own bout with health. I found out that I had breast cancer back at the end of 2012, and just in disbelief, but wanted to go into after, have to be transparent about it, right? After the shock of it all, and after a lot of prayer and trying to figure out what was going on, I started to do a lot of research on food and nutrition because I couldn't really understand where it came from. I didn't really feel like I was doing anything that would warrant my body to accept cancer. So I just started researching and I fell in love with it. And then I started working out and I fell in love with it. So it was really just born out of, my own struggles and trying to figure out why my health had kind of failed me there. But really, after the shock and everything, it really inspired me to a different lifestyle, a whole different purpose in my life. So it was really just meant to be.
A lot of people don't have that strategy as far as what they kind of wing it for
Mm-hmm.
their health.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, today I'm going to go for a walk. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
today I'm going to go on a bike. Maybe I'll go on the treadmill. There's
Yeah.
no programs, no strategies, no systems in place, and they kind of just go with it, and then they complain. Oh, I didn't lose any weight. I'm still the same weight I am, or I look the same.
Yeah.
What motivates you, and what are some things that you're using to apply to have those strategies or systems in place?
Yeah, I treat my health like I did. I was a corporate executive for many years, up until March of 2021. But I treat my health like I did my job. Now my business, it's the same. I plan for it, and then it becomes a lifestyle and it becomes a routine. And it doesn't mean that you don't get off your routine, every now and then. But at the same time, you still go back to it. So I treat it just like it's a business. Really, to be perfectly honest with you, I have my rituals that I do and I stick to those. And when I want to indulge a little bit, I do, but then I go right back to, what I'm supposed to do to ensure that I'm protecting my health.
So with these podcasts,
Hmm.
what is your goals with them? Is it just to educate? Is it to sell?
Yeah.
Some people utilize podcasts for different things. We're using Web Talk Legends to get the word out, to get so people understand who we have real people in this platform, that they know they're not just robots. They're here to help others, not just to
Hmm.
push a product or a service.
Yeah.
What are you using your podcast for?
That's really what it's for, awareness, help and awareness, really. It's a great way to bring some education, support, awareness to the masses. So that's the real reason for it.
And I love this. We don't script anything. We're
Hmm.
being real. You have
Yeah.
a topic sometimes you talk about and you just get deep with it.
Yeah.
That's important because the authenticity is, I believe, the most important thing. If you could
Yeah.
be real, like you're sharing, you had a bout with breast cancer, that's being transparent. That's being authentic. People resonate with
Yeah.
that. And if people just talk about, oh, nice cars, houses, watches, nobody
Yeah.
wants to hear that. So, what
Yeah.
are some of the topics you guys are covering on your podcast?
Oh wow. So on Fem Talk, we go deep. So Fem Talk is it's health, it's wellness, it's social issues, anything that you can think of. It's female issues, anything that you can think of. We talk about the hot topics on the news. We go deep. And then on the Whole Living Show, it's about health, but it's about the mind, the body, the spirit, and anything that affects your whole life. It could be relationships. Like my last show was about love and marriage, and I had a couple on there that was married for 31 years, giving tools and tips to people on how to have a successful marriage. So it's everything, because when you think about it, everything that you do, right, affects your whole life. It affects your health, physically, emotionally, mentally. So in order for you to be truly healthy, you have to look at everything that affects your life.
I believe, and I agree with you, the mental health is a massive problem that we have in the USA,
Yeah.
especially because people don't want to talk about it.
Mhm.
It's something that needs to be talked about, needs to be shared, needs to be opened up, because you can't see those issues that people have. You might have a physical issue. Like my daughter had a liver transplant, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
And you don't really even know how bad that is. But with the mental side, that's a whole other game. What are some ways that you're helping yourself as far as developing your mental side, your mindset?
Yeah. For me, it's physical fitness. That
Mm,
really it really does help. And when you think about it, once you start to allow your body to talk about the physical standpoint of that for a minute, allow your body to get in more oxygen. It just starts to, and your blood circulates a little bit better, right? When you start to work out, because you're out there working out
yes.
every day. So it really does change your mood. It really does start to affect you mentally. So for me, that's a big one. The physical fitness is a big one to my mental health. But sometimes it's really just breathing and taking a moment to sit still, Sean. And taking some deep breaths. I can remember being in corporate America, and I had another coach tell me that. I was going through my health coaching certification program, and I had another coach tell me that, because we were just talking and networking a little bit. And I said to her, I'm like, the job is really stressful, and I'm doing this program and I'm working. And she's like, listen, just take a moment to breathe. And then I started looking into deep breathing, and it helped so much. So sometimes you just need to take a moment and just stop and breathe.
I agree. I definitely agree. And get outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Do things you normally don't want to do. In
Right.
my case, I have never done yoga and
Hmm.
Pilates. And just recently, I've done a couple workouts with yoga and Pilates.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Talk about breathing and
Yeah.
balance. I had issues when I was younger. I had hearing issues. So I had some tubes in my ears. So I had 5 sets of tubes when I was growing up. So my balance, I didn't realize it is so poor.
Mhm.
It's something I have to work on. And doing yoga recently, I'm like, oh my God, I got to
Yeah.
really focus on this. So it helps with your balance, your flexibility, your breathing.
Yeah.
It helps you relax. And that's an important thing. Learning how to put yourself in a mental state when you're going through something not the greatest in your day. You need
Mhm.
a way to kind of spike, get out of it. The breathing, I think, helps too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then do things that you enjoy. It could be something simple like listening to music. Take a drive and blast your music, or whatever it is, something that you really love to do. Get outside. If you love nature, get outside. But just suggest to people, take a moment, take a breath, and then just say, okay, let me do something that I really love doing. Something simple or something big.
Kids today don't
Hmm.
go outside. I loved how you just said going outside, taking a
Yeah,
good breath, go see the
yeah,
scenery, go for a walk.
yeah.
Kids today are all about the technology.
Hmm.
But I actually heard Gary Vee talk about some things yesterday. I was listening to a podcast, and he was
Hmm.
saying how radio was the first thing to start changing people. And they're saying, oh, look at kids are staying inside to listen to a baseball game or listen to this. And now we're in the 2022 era, and everyone's on a phone, or everyone's on a TikTok or a
Yeah,
video game. It's the same thing. We don't learn from it, but we have to take a pause
yeah.
from what we're doing and experience some things outside. I think that's a huge thing, because it
Absolutely.
helps you get some vitamin D. You're out in the sun. It makes
Yeah.
you feel better, and it breaks up your monotony. That's, I
Mhm.
think, a key thing for people.
And you just talked about the vitamin D. So I wear glasses now, older, but I can remember being younger and just outside all day long. And my son is 14 now, and of course he's into all of the electronics and the video games and all of that. But I make it a point for us, like today we're going walking. We may even hit the gym today. Usually I take Saturday as just like my active rest day, so I walk, but we may even hit the gym today. But just make it a point to do that for your kids, because I can remember my son wears glasses also now, but I can remember questioning his optometrist and saying, why does he need glasses at this point? And she said, kids don't go outside as much as they used to. They're not getting the vitamin D in, and now their eyes are used to darker, right? Like just
Yeah.
darker spaces. So they need those glasses because they're not getting as much sunlight. So when you mention the vitamin D and just being outside and thinking about the kids, it's like, get your kids outside, make them go outside and get some sunshine.
Going for walks,
Mhm.
and you don't have to go for runs. You can go for a walk, but
Mhm.
also you're talking, you're socializing.
Yeah.
I know my oldest, I have my 15-year-old, when she was coming around, we go on a walk together as a family. That's a time she used to open up, and it was like, bah, 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 anything that was in her mind. And I
Yeah.
think it was phenomenal, because I think when you're moving, you're exercising, it actually breaks some things up in your system. Your endorphins start popping out because it makes you feel good, but
Yeah.
also makes your mind start working better. I think that's why people start becoming a chatterbox, and it also allows you to do something and not realize you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't want to work out. They complain, right?
Yeah.
I don't have the time. I don't have the money to go to a gym.
Mhm.
You and I, we do a lot of workouts at our home.
That's
What
right.
are some workouts that you're doing?
Oh, well, I'm a big calisthenics fan. So, and I love squats.
Yes.
So I do a lot of that, but it's also the same thing. I mix it up: cardio, yoga, calisthenics, strength training incorporates, and I don't really like HIIT, but I incorporated it in there anyway, just to push myself. But I do it all, and I do it all from home. You know, get it in. I go outside and do it a lot of times. Not so much in the winter, but when it gets a little bit warmer, I'm outside. I hit the steps on the side of my complex, like anything that I can find outside that I can do, I do it outside as well. So
So
yeah.
what ways are you using social media? Are you using it more for social, or are you using it for business, a mixture of both? I
Hmm.
would love to hear about what you're doing.
Yeah, a little bit of both. So I have to be completely transparent, right? Because this show is quite honest. So I am not the best when it comes to social media. I have to be honest with you. I'm so consistent when it comes to my health, but the social media part, not as much. But I do it for both. But it's the same thing too, like the shows. I'm really looking to get that awareness out there, right? And just let people know, give them tips on how to live healthy, and just on even changing their mindset. That's what I'm usually using social media for. And if it brings in business, that's wonderful, but I have to say I should be more intentional about that. So you're putting me to task right here live, Shawn.
No,
So
you're consistent. You
yeah.
put your stuff out there. It's
Yeah.
something that a lot of people, it's creating a habit.
Yeah.
So it's just putting something in place. And it's 21 days. If you could do it for 21 days, boom, you start having a habit.
Yeah.
And it's something that I tell people, even just on Webtalk, just go on for 10 minutes and
Mhm.
just see what other people are doing, posts, etc. But
Yeah.
also utilizing other platforms. Like you have a website, um, what was it? I have it written down.
Oh,
Oh, workwiththeresetcoach.com.
yeah.
And it's something that I want you guys to check out. Workwiththeresetcoach.com.
Yeah.
It's something to provide that value, another resource. But people are on Webtalk, they're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, they're on Instagram. But it's just being consistent. And you're
Yeah.
using video as well, because I believe video proves that you're doing things. I used to think doing selfies, that was just a girl thing. But I'm a
Yeah.
guy, right? So I'm doing selfie. I'm going to meetings and I'm like, hey, let's do a selfie. And the guy kind of looks at me. I'm like, look, watch what happens.
Right.
Because you
Right.
actually can prove you actually met that person. Not just, oh, I just had a call with Tracie Randolph today. No, I actually, look, I'm with her right now. It
Yeah.
might be virtual, but we're still here. But it's
Exactly.
how you can prove things on social media. Because when you if we talk about sales, every salesperson you talk to, how's everything going? Oh man, I'm crushing it. I'm killing it. In reality, that's a
Hmm.
lie. If
Hmm.
they're not being transparent, they're not being honest, they don't have anything going on, nothing
Hmm.
in the pipeline, they're scared they're not gonna be able to pay the mortgage or the rent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but why do people have to lie about that? I don't understand it. I want people to have those goals, focus, and make things happen. And that's where social media comes in. It keeps you accountable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, now I do make it a purpose to make sure that I'm posting every day. But you hear like there's a lot of people out there that are on it, just on it, like 2, 3, 4 times a day. So, I'm definitely intentional about making sure that I'm present on a daily basis. But I feel like, and that's just me putting more pressure on myself too, because we always want to get better, that I need to get better at it for sure.
And are you into reading books? Are you into listening to podcasts, other podcasts, etc.?
Yeah, I do both. Love books. I have so many. At right now, I'm reading the 12-week year, which was recommended to me by someone. So getting into that. But yeah, love it. I love to read. I love to read, and I love to read the self-help books. Honestly,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. That's my go-to, and it has been for years, for many years. Yeah.
Here's value. If you want
Hmm.
to add consistency with what you're doing with the reading and you're doing
Hmm.
video,
Hmm.
everything you read, take some tips from
Hmm.
whatever that book you're reading,
Hmm.
write them all down,
Hmm.
and do a video. Hey, it's Tracie Randolph. I just want to jump on. I just want to let you guys know I just read such and such.
Hmm.
This is what I learned from it. And you go into detail about what you learned,
Hmm.
and it will allow people to gain that value from you without you even selling anything. And
Okay.
today, people don't want to read. Again, it goes back to working out. They have no time. I like to read. I enjoy to read. I have to
Yeah.
wait until the girls go to sleep at night, but it's something that I try to make it a complete habit. I try to go, that 75 hard. It's like that workout. You have to
Hmm.
drink a gallon of water. You have to read personal
Yeah.
development. You have 2 workouts. I look at that and I say, that's difficult for me at this time
Hmm.
because of my situation with the girls waking
Hmm.
up in the middle of the night. It's tough for me to do that. In the
Yeah.
future, I'll try it, but I try to incorporate some of the things like the gallon of water,
Hmm.
the reading, having 10 pages in a book. That's
Hmm.
good value. That's a
Yeah.
muscle you're engaging to develop yourself for the future.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised how many books you can read if you just read 10 pages a day. It really does make a difference. Sometimes you even go longer because you're so into the book at that point. But you'll be really surprised how much you can get in when you start that. And I started that too because of another coach that talked to me about reading 10 pages a day. So I have a ritual in the morning that I do, and that's a part of it.
And
Yeah.
it will help people for those that don't like to or can't sleep. They have
Hmm.
insomnia. Hey,
Yeah.
do something before you go to bed. Make your brain work a little bit so it
Yeah.
gets a little bit more tired so you actually can shut it down and you go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's important for me as far as getting enough sleep. How is it for you? How, do you get your 7, 8 hours? How is your sleep schedule set up?
Usually about 6, to be honest with you, because I am just naturally a nocturnal person, right? I am a night person by nature, so it's a little bit. And I've decided that with all of this going into business for myself, I get up at 5 a.m. now, which I didn't before. When I was in corporate America, everything was on the later end, which
Mm.
contributed to my being nocturnal. But now it's the same thing. It's winding down with. I like to drink tea. So I wind down with a cup of tea. Sometimes I'll grab the book. Sometimes I'll just sit still, to be honest with you, push the phone out of the way, drink my tea, and then I'm ready to go to bed. So whatever it is for you guys out there, but do something that helps you to wind down. I have a friend who I don't turn my phone off completely, but I have a friend who by 10 o'clock, her phone is off. And if she knows that her kids are safe and her kids are older now, but she knows that her sons are good and her husband's home, she turns her phone off and that's it for the evening.
That guys, that's a tough thing to do for majority
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah.
Like I I don't have mine off. I use mine as an alarm clock. So I
Hmm.
have two. I set two.
Hmm.
I'm usually one that hits the snooze button. So I
Hmm.
have two for just to back up. But
Yeah.
I believe that's an awesome thing to do, especially for, I think, maybe for dinner. Turn
Yeah.
your phone off so people can actually get deep and you can talk to your
Yeah.
kids and learn about what am I going to talk about? How was your day? Get into
Hmm.
that conversation, guys. That would be beneficial to the whole family.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that we try to implement in this household, right? Sometimes it's hard to get around the dinner table, but we do. We do that. Everybody's on different schedules right now, but we do that. And I have to keep saying like, okay, phone down, phone down. I'm like, hey guys, what's going on in the world today? Let's talk about it, you know? So try to implement that. That was a conversation that my mom recently brought up because my mom she was a stickler about us getting around the table and sitting and having dinner together and talking. And at that time, of course, we didn't have cell phones
Yes.
actually to even worry about it. But she was a stickler about that. And she asked that question. She said, why don't families do that anymore, where people are sitting around the table, they come together, they talk. And that's something that my family, even now, when we gather, that's what we love to do. We sit around and we talk to each other. And my grandmother and my mother are like, okay, phones down, like let's just talk.
Before phones,
Hmm.
even when my grandfather was alive, it was amazing to talk to my grandpa
Yeah.
because he would not stop talking. There were
Hmm.
things in his life, experiences just pour out of them.
Yeah.
And it's something that you all have to start trying and doing because all of our older folk, our grandparents, are a wealth of knowledge and
Yeah.
sitting down. And I remember I was doing a project, I was hitting record and I was taping it with a tape recorder.
Hmm.
I didn't, after the whole conversation, I didn't hit record. I hit
Oh
play.
no.
And I'm like, oh
Oh
no.
no. We
But
missed
the
it all.
things that grandpa used to tell us, oh my god, it was
Yeah.
amazing. So I think that's a huge thing to start implementing for
Yeah.
those that are watching, having those conversations and going deep and getting to know your kids, your
Yeah.
family, your spouse. That's an
Yeah.
important thing.
I have two grandparents that both have passed away now, but my maternal grandfather and my paternal grandmother were two self-educated people. They read a lot, so the wealth of knowledge that used to come out of them, like I remember them reading encyclopedias. You remember encyclopedias?
Yes.
We don't have those anymore, but I remember them reading encyclopedias, and they were such a wealth of knowledge. And I used to sit on the back steps of my grandfather's house with him, and we used to look up at the stars, and he would just educate me on things, you know, whatever life. He studied astronomy, so that's why we used to sit back there and look up at the stars, and he just that those moments where you get the wealth of knowledge coming out of these people, you know, the elderly people, they give you so much. Me and my friends were talking because I have a best friend who we're like extended family. We grew up together, our families love each other, and we were talking about writing a book just based on what we've learned from the elderly, because there's so many stories that we have to tell that they've given us. So more to come on that one.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Writing a book, I've been thinking about it. I have some
Mhm.
friends recently, I've saw them write some books, and it's a huge task, an undertaking.
Yeah.
Once I believe you have to be really if you're focused, you make it happen.
Yeah.
not at that point at the moment, but it's something that down the road, I think that's a great thing
Yeah.
to leave as far as a legacy. You
Yeah.
know, I do a lot of video for on purpose, so I believe I'm basically planting seeds for my daughter so they can see what I've done,
Hmm.
educate them, helping others. That's why. But a book, that'd be pretty awesome to do. And
Yeah.
the habit of not stopping learning is important. That's why you're reading, I read, because I believe the school systems today are not where they should be. They're not moving with the times. They should
Yeah.
have their own self-help books as
Hmm.
well,
Hmm.
because it's the same thing that when I went to school, I teach still. I'm 20 years teaching. It's nothing's changed on that platform. We try to, but it's not changing the way it should be. And some
Yeah.
of the kids that we talk to, I'm like, listen, you have to read. You're gonna read the rest of your life. They're like, no, I don't like to read.
Hmm.
But it's something that everyone understands. I mean, I'm 45 and I'm still learning things
Yeah.
because of people in books and other conversations because I enjoy it and I want it. And I hope people continue to do that.
Yeah, and life is ever changing, right? So there's always something to learn, as you mentioned, and like you said, the school system. Like, don't even get me started about that. We actually did a show on Film Talk about the school system. We had some educators and administrators on that particular show, but you know, we have to educate our kids in a different way outside of the school system. And if they're getting, you know, the academics there, you know, wonderful. But we also have to teach them about what's happening in life right now because they won't get that, you know. And as you see, like different things coming out, you know, investing, right? They're not going to get that in school. They don't talk about how to structure a business. They don't talk about investments. They just don't go into those those things. They don't talk about, social media and the digital age and what's happening. Even the gaming is a big business, right? They don't talk about those things. So, and those are the things that kids are interested in. So we need to show them even just a different side of those different industries and facets of life, and they won't get that in the education system. So please, parents, teach your kids.
Yes.
Yeah,
And talk about being an entrepreneur. I mean,
yeah,
some kids, that will be their path. Some
yeah,
kids, they have to go to school, they have to learn a trade, they have to learn a skill.
yeah.
But it's something that it's difficult being an entrepreneur because you have
Mhm.
nobody that will keep you on your toes or tell you what to do. So
Yeah,
that's the difference when you were in corporate America compared to now. You have your day is filled with what you want to do and how you want to do it. How do you
exactly.
keep yourself in check right now? Do you have any systems in place that you can share with us?
Yeah, really just sticking to my calendar, which I get distracted sometimes and have to take a little curve in the road, but it's really just I use my phone as my calendar, and just making sure that I'm being a stickler about that calendar and how I spend my time. And it's not easy. I'm making it sound easy, right? It's not necessarily easy because there's things in your day that kind of distract you, or you get diverted for some good reason. It could be some good reason, but just making sure that I'm on that calendar, writing lists for what I want to accomplish for the day and making sure that those get done, and then moving on. Also, staying connected with people who are also doing it. I actually have a meeting tomorrow with two of beautiful ladies that uh, Tamara and Jasmine, just to check
Yes.
myself, and hold myself accountable and ask questions because they've been in business longer than I have. So it's also networking with people that network with the people that are doing what you're doing, right? And going, or have been, where you're trying to go. So it's a little bit of all of that to make sure that I keep myself in check.
I'm glad you brought that up, and shout out to Tamara and Jasmine. Networking is a skill. A lot of people don't realize networking is an important piece of any business, and whatever we are. People say, "Oh, I don't sell anything. I don't
Mhm.
like selling." Everyone sells. We're all
Yeah,
selling ourselves, but everyone has to make sure that when you're in that little circle of that meeting, you're listening. You're
yeah,
taking some notes sometimes,
yeah.
or mental notes at least, and really in that moment. Some people are always worried about what they're going to say next,
Hmm.
and that causes a problem in that communication, in that conversation. That's what
Hmm.
I've learned recently in the last number of years. I would always be that person try to figure out what am I going to say next. But I
Hmm.
like what I've done so many of these. I This is my exercise. This is my way of practice because I can sit back, I can listen to what's being said by Tracie, collect my thoughts, and then continue the conversation and not have
Yeah.
to worry about what I'm going to say next, because it's more important what is coming out of your mouth, what you're saying, for everyone listening.
Yeah, and I love that you said that too, because I find that doing the shows as well, um, being able to stop and listen. And a lot of times the shows don't even go the way that I originally planned them to go, which is fine. I like them to flow. So you may have a structure around something, but when you're networking with people, you have to listen so that you can let the conversation flow, because what you're meant to get out of that moment is what's going to happen, right? If you pay attention. So I love that you said that. Just stop and be able to listen to people. And that's something that you learn as you go through coaching. Because coming from the corporate world and then being a coach, I was a mentor in corporate America, right? But it's more about the advice that you give versus being able to stop and listen. Now, as a manager, I learned how to listen. But being a coach, it's so different because you really ask the question, and then it's like it's a big pause. You need to hear what that person is saying in order to ask the next question, and the next question that'll help lead them to their answer, because you're not giving the answer, you're helping them get the answer. So that listening point is so key.
And put yourself in positions to learn from others. Like you have Jasmine's into the marketing, internet
Yeah,
marketing, and you have Tamara's doing the real estate, and she
yeah,
does some coaching. So there's a lot of skills that everyone can utilize
yeah.
and put into practice, and swipe and adapt. Learn
Hmm.
from a book, learn from a podcast, learn from a video,
Hmm.
but also use the things that you're listening, and not just sitting there, oh, I'm going to get to this tomorrow, the next day. Everyone keeps pushing things off. If you wrote something down, I want to take action. I'm all about taking action. And
Mhm.
I'm hoping that those that are watching, you get into that, you push more. We hopefully inspire you or motivate you to do what you want to do, have those goals, achieve those, and become successful.
Yeah.
That's something that we want to make sure that everyone understands. Are there any final thoughts you can share with us today based off either success, entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
fitness, anything you can help those that are watching?
I'm going to be completely blunt, right? Because this is something that I tell myself on a regular basis. Like, get over yourself, right? And do it. Just do it. Use the Nike motto, right? And just do it. Just do it. Get over yourself and just do it. The first step is the step that you take for you to be able to get started, whether it's your health, your business, if you want to write that book, as we mentioned earlier, whatever it is, just do it. Get over yourself and just do it. And I tell myself that all the time. When the distractions come, when the challenges come, just get over yourself, girl. That's what I say to myself, and just do it. So I'm saying that to everybody else too.
Love that message. I appreciate you with all the time that you gave today, all the value. Definitely, guys, friend request Tracie on Web Talk. She is a wealth of knowledge. She will definitely have a conversation with you, help you with everything in life. She'll sit there and listen. That's it, what we all want to have. Check out her website, workwiththeresetcoach.com. Definitely something that if you are what is your slogan you say on there as far as getting yourself into shape? What was your slogan?
I really tell people every day is an opportunity to reset. Being the
That's
reset
it.
coach, but yeah, because I think people get hung up on the mistakes, the missteps. They get hung up on that, and then they just fall back, right? And what you have to do is say, okay, I indulged or I made a mistake, and it's okay, and I'm just going to move forward with the plan. So every day is an opportunity to reset.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
Tracie, thanks so much for your time.
thank
Everyone
you.
watching, thank you. We hope that you guys all have an awesome rest of your day.
Absolutely, thank you, Shawn.